I'm going to evaluate ElectroBIM using the Electrical Engineering BIM Scorecard. For this evaluation, I brought in a special guest, the product manager from Design Master Software. He's here to talk to us about ElectroBIM. Good to be here. Thanks for taking the time to do this evaluation with us. Are you familiar with the Electrical Engineering BIM Scorecard? Oh yes, that's the 10-question scale you've been using to evaluate BIM software for electrical engineering. That's right. So let's get the first 3 questions out of the way. Does engineering exist? Does MEP exist? And does electrical exist? Those are pretty straightforward. ElectroBIM is an electrical engineering software, so we answer yes to all 3 of those questions. Great. So are you able to insert electrical devices using ElectroBIM? Yes. ElectroBIM is an add-in for Revit. So we work on top of Revit, and they're using all the features that Revit has for electrical engineering design. So in Revit, you can insert electrical devices. So ElectroBIM leverages that feature. And what about panel schedules? Again, since ElectroBIM is working in Revit, we can use the panel schedules that Revit already has. So using Revit for the panel schedules, are you using it for the load calculations? Yes, this is where building on top of Revit gives us a lot of functionality. So we're able to leverage as many features in Revit as we're able to make work. So we use the load calculations that Revit has built in. Okay, question 7 is about voltage drop calculations. Are you using the Revit voltage drop calculations in your software? We are not. Revit has wire sizes, and then you can use those wire sizes to calculate voltage drop, but it doesn't give you any control over what those wire sizes are. So if your design calls for something different than what Revit calculates, you have no ability to change that in Revit. In ElectroBIM, we've replaced the wire sizing with our own, so you can set the wire sizes, you have control over what the wire sizes are, and then we can use that wire size to calculate the voltage drop based on your actual design. Interesting, so this is where ElectroBIM and Revit kind of diverge a little bit. We use as much of Revit as possible, but there are certain features that we've had to replace with our own in order to make the calculations and the electrical design work. Okay, question 8 is about short circuit calculations. Are you able to do those using the model that you've created? Absolutely. This is where having your wire sizes in BIM allows you to do a lot more in terms of calculations. We know where the panels are located because we have the Revit model and the 3D representation, so we can get the wire lengths. Then using the wire sizes that we have in ElectroBIM, we can actually do other calculations such as the short circuit analysis. Question 9 on the scorecard is about single line diagrams. Can you do single line diagrams using ElectroBIM? We can. We have implemented single line diagrams in a drafting view in Revit, and that drafting view is actually linked to the Revit model. So changes in one are going to be happening in the other. If you change a panel name in your Revit model, it's going to update in the single line diagram. So we have a single line diagram feature that's actually a fully integrated part of the rest of your Revit model. And finally, question 10 is, can you do multifamily dwelling calculations or really any other complex calculations using your software? Yes and no. So something like multifamily dwelling calculations where you need those for your apartment loads, we can't do those in ElectroBIM. So we can't do everything we'd like to at this point. But we do have other calculations. We can do arc flash analysis. We can do selective coordination. So we have some of those features in there. There's a lot more that we want to add to the software, features like the multifamily dwelling calculations for your load calcs. Thanks for taking the time to sit down and talk to me about ElectroBIM today. How can people learn more about the software? We have a free trial available on our website, designmaster.biz. You can download that and try the software out and see if it's going to work for you and your workflows. We also run a webinar once a month talking about single line diagrams in Revit, so you can register for that on the website as well. All right, I'm sure people will make sure to check out those resources. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us about ElectroBIM today. My pleasure. Thank you for having me on. Remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content about electrical engineering design in Revit.